Listen.
Welcome to Nintendo Voice Chat episode 435. Perry, you know what that means.
What does that mean?
It means it's the 435th episode.
Oh, that's
My
beautiful.
guest today, Per Schneider,
Hey.
Tom Marks.
Hello.
Back at it again. And over there, Brian Altano.
Hello, hello.
Brian, we've missed you. Where have you been?
I've been traveling the world doing a travel show called Fast Travel, which you could watch on IGN. We went to Austin and to Norway, and it was a great time, and I also played a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this skull in the middle of the table. What happened here?
Well, so today I came in, for those of you on the audio podcast, there's a real human skull right here on the table. Is poor Horatio. But no, today I came into the studio and I noticed there was a skull in the corner of the studio, and I said, I'm going to put that on the desk.
Yeah.
Why not?
What's weird, I never knew that real human skulls had these like lines going through, like almost like they're molded.
Yeah, they're
That's
not
intelligent design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That represents the death of our free time. Once Smash
Once Smash Brothers comes out,
So,
topical.
there it is, yeah.
Yes, that's right. You might have
Gotcha,
noticed
baby.
my bow-tied friend Tom Marks is on the show this week because Tom has reviewed Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. He's played more Super Smash Brothers Ultimate than anybody else on the planet, excepting, of course, probably Mr. Sakurai.
And probably Brendan Graber, who's
And
working
maybe
on the
also,
guide.
and also maybe Brendan Graber. That's true. That's
I don't
true.
think he's slept much last week.
How many hours do you think you put into it thus far?
Too many, probably at least 50.
50.
Yeah.
50 hours of Smash. And how many hours have you put into it so far?
One.
Yeah. Me, 0. Brian,
Same.
0. Yeah, we haven't had an opportunity to play the game despite the fact that we've had it for a bit.
I've been hoarding it.
Per and I were talking about it a minute ago in that I came into the demo area on Friday where everybody was playing it and with the assumption like, okay, now I will get in my demo time with Smash. And just watching the 5 of you that were in there playing it, I was like, I cannot hang with this. Like I'm so awful at it to begin with that it's just like,
It's like
really
dropping into a snake pit, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just not.
That's not the point.
You got to get the snakes out first.
That's not the point of Smash to me. The point of Smash to me is to just like goof off. So
Right.
I would have welcomed that.
That's
when
funny.
you-
That's what the point of the show is to me. Is just
Yeah.
get up here and just goof around.
Watching people play it has been really cool to see because I think that this game isn't getting enough credit for how just absolutely gorgeous it is, especially in handheld mode. It's like rock solid.
It's a very good looking game. But I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna hold you off right there because
Sure.
we have a whole back half of the show dedicated to Smash, and I did want to talk about some Nintendo news outside of Smash before we get into the
Let's do
main
it.
event.
All right. Yeah.
Fighting puns.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this week in Nintendo news, we got our lineup for the December NES virtual. Well, I can't call it the virtual console. What do we? Nintendo Switch Online situation. We got 3 new games coming to Nintendo Switch for the NES, and that's Wario's Woods is the first game coming out. Who's got thoughts on Wario's Woods? I haven't played it since I was a tiny child. I remember it being very strange.
I skipped it growing up, but I caught it when I dug it up on the island in Animal Crossing for GameCube. That was my first exposure to that game.
Same.
Which was really cool because it was like finding a new NES game. It's a quirky puzzle game, and I sort of like it. I would say like if you're going to take an iconic character from the Nintendo stable and give him his own puzzle game on the NES, it's not as good as Dr. Mario, but it's way better than Yoshi.
Okay,
That's true. Yeah.
Yoshi's Cookie. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of some of the later Wario games. I really love the Wario game for the GBA. I think that's like such an awesome like weirdo platformer. I know that this is more of a puzzler, right?
Yeah.
But just a little puzzler.
I feel like the Wario franchise could have more life in it if they really play to that concept that it's the anti-Mario platformer that you can't die. Like I love that idea so much, but they haven't done enough with it yet.
Yeah, I'd love to see I guess we haven't seen Wario in that sense since I can't remember if it was on Wii or Wii U.
Right?
There's a Wii U Wario game, right?
Was it?
I can't remember if it was Wii or Wii U.
Too long.
It was good.
A while though.
It's been a while. Yeah. Regardless, either way, we haven't seen Wario in a minute. But
It was
it's nice to have him back in this form.
Wario Land Shake It.
Yeah,
was
that's
the
it.
Was the last console
Was that
one.
Wii, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That might have been Wii. Yeah, I think.
And then there was the GameCube one made by Treasure.
Yeah.
where he's got all that money on the
Yeah,
it
that
was,
was a good
sorry.
one too. Yeah.
Yeah, Wii U didn't get anything. It was
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that too. Okay, up next, Ninja Gaiden, which
Is the winner.
2 thumbs way
Yeah.
up for me. This is the one that if you're on the fence about which one to play this month, Ninja Gaiden is obviously, in my mind, the one to play because it is just so brutal and so fun and so like fondly remembered, I feel like.
This game blew my mind as a kid because it had effectively cinematic cutscenes, which were letterboxed or what is it, widescreen, where like there was basically boxes on the bottom and the top.
Yeah.
And it was like these basically characters would come in with text and everything and this incredibly awesome swelling music. This game is hard as hell, but
so
I'm going
difficult.
to cheat my way through it on Switch using save states because of those dreadful hawks that will repeatedly knock you into the pits.
The birds are the worst.
The Hawks are at the end of this game, right?
Yeah. There's nightmare garbage eagles, and I hate them.
Also, if you played The Messenger and
Yes.
want to know where that inspiration came from, this
yeah.
is a really
That's a
great
great-
way
yeah.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
take
great
a walk
point.
down memory lane.
Yeah,
I never noticed that the first boss fight takes place in a bar that no one's in. That's weird.
And then last but not least, we've got the Adventures of Lolo. I don't know much about Lolo actually.
True fact, I've never played it.
Yeah, really.
No, I've never.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Damon about it. I'm like, you know what? What I missed? I totally never played Lolo, and he's like, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam Claiborne, historically,
now, though.
he loves Lolo.
Yes.
But yeah,
Lolo.
Lolo. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've never played Lolo. I think this is, and it's a series, right?
Yep.
Lolo's. There's several in this.
There's so many Lolos. Well, I gotta say though,
This sounds like a book report on Lolo's by
Right?
people who didn't read the book.
Yeah.
Lolo is the one that
Oh,
starts
there's
with
many
an
of
L.
them, and there's 2, and there's 3.
Yes.
Don't forget about Return of Lolo.
Everyone loves a good Lola.
So it's still not Virtual Console, but the lineup of games getting good now. I mean, we're getting a pretty good library of titles that you can access at
getting
all
there.
time.
I'm still
And
holding
you
out.
didn't even have to rebuy it.
That's true.
Still
Slowly over
holding
the
out for
course
Super
of a
Nintendo
year,
games. Yeah.
we will get a sizable library on the NES.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in like 30 years though?
We'll have the full library on the NES.
Okay, we'll have
30 years
Every
from now.
single game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
right
stuff
there
to
on your
play at the
Switch.
senior citizens home.
Yeah, that's right.
Moving on to Fortnite news because not a week goes by where we don't have some Fortnite news. Season 7 launches tomorrow, or I guess today if you're listening to watching this on the day that it publishes. But in more Fortnite news, they've announced Fortnite Creative, which is a huge addition to the already expansive Fortnite platform that we have. We're taking a look here. If you're watching the video version of our show, you can see some of the stuff that's going on in Fortnite Creative. It's a bit of an expanded and customizable version of Fortnite Playground that they played with a little earlier this year. It's a brand new mode that allows you to customize your own private island, which can be saved and used at any time. It launches the 6th for those of you with Battle Pass and the 13th for those of you without. But what I think is the most interesting is, obviously building is a huge component to Fortnite. This allows you to take all of the in-game assets and create your own maps, your own layouts, your own strategies and situations. Like one of the things in this sort of BTS video is you see somebody has created this giant arena with all these moving pads and stuff. This is basically like, you remember when Little Big Planet or Mario Maker allowed you to create challenging levels for your friends?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, this is that, but for the biggest game on the planet.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously huge following on Switch. I forget the actual numbers. Was it like 1 out of 3 Switch owners downloaded Fortnite? Something
crazy.
insane like that.
It was big.
The cool thing about this too is that it lets you effectively create your own rule systems and rule sets, so you can make up your own game modes. So I think we're going to see just completely insane stuff here. Like more so than just like shooting and building. There'll be like soccer and like hide and seek and all this other weird stuff.
That's one of the most exciting things about this to me, because people have already made the Minecraft reference here.
Of course.
Like, oh, they're adding sort of Minecrafty stuff. But this system of customizing maps and customizing game modes and using assets is very epic and very unreal, right? It is very much in... I mean, the company and
I understand, but
Company
I
and the
understand,
engine.
but they're also great adjectives.
It's true.
So, yeah.
But yeah, it's very much in Epic
marvelous.
Games' style. And I'm really happy to see it here, especially because I think back to Warcraft 3 and I think back to Minecraft, and those games thrived off of custom modes and custom games and just making weird maps. Even if you go to other systems with like Halo Forge, totally helps those communities grow more. And it's not like this community needs to grow more, but it's going to really add something new and fresh to this game.
You think about something like Counter-Strike that has so outlived its source material, and the idea that UGC is coming to Fortnite in a game that is the biggest game on the planet now, but who knows like what that longevity looks like. But there's things that could potentially be born out of this mode that we'll see 10, 15 years down the line, and I think that's what's so exciting.
These are not small content updates. I mean, the team must be really big now, and of course that's great. This game is making a lot of money, right? So it's good that they're putting resources back into development and not just releasing new costume packs and all of that just to make a quick buck. They're actually upgrading the game and adding these major features.
This is also like, I mean, the thing that the Fortnite audience is sort of complains about the most is that there's effectively just one map map in that entire game, right? There's only one place to play Fortnite, and it's that big area, and that's it. And everyone's always like, give us more. There's a possibility here for you to effectively have endless places to play Fortnite.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're shrinking the entire game size down to 16 players, which will make for like really frenetic and like fast and furious sort of gameplay, I think. But like you're saying, like it also completely multiplies the amount of game spaces that you have to participate in. So yeah, I think that's really cool.
I do have to say, technically Fortnite is not out of beta, and now they're running an early access for a mode in a beta.
An alpha in a beta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
That's like the inception of video games.
Game labels are the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Hey, what console generation is the Switch in?
14.
Right? No one knows. Everything is weird
Impossible
now.
to tell, yeah. Okay, last news story here before we move on to what we're playing. Guys, what if Metroid is the question. So we have obviously talked ad nauseum about a Metroid Prime trilogy potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch.
It'll happen.
And we have a sort of pie in the sky theory that it'll be one of those things. We're hoping that it'll happen tomorrow night or tonight, I guess, at the Game Awards, and they'll say, and it's available right now. But a new wrinkle in this thread is that Swedish retailer Init, I don't know, lists Metroid Prime Trilogy online and speculates that it'll be announced at the TGAs and released in the spring of 2019. Now, they even go so far as to say, hey, this is just speculation, but we have it on good authority that this is coming. It's just another in a long line of signs pointing to the potential of a Metroid Prime Trilogy making its way to Switch.
I've heard this rumor from so many different directions now, and it's hard to tell whether they all tell each other and they're all influencing each other, but it's been... You know, I've heard it from reputable people that it would be that there was going to be announced early in the year.
Do it.
It was the president of the United States.
Wow.
Don't take anything he says for real.
Man, I don't know if we could trust that.
Yeah.
It was all of them. No, but
Oh no, the comments.
it's been it's gonna happen. Metroid Prime 4 is not going to be done for a while, and what a perfect little collection to go back
over.
to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And pull off, and it's gonna look gorgeous when
Zach and I will be at the Game Awards wearing suits, and I'm trying to do the math on how to fit a Switch into the jacket pocket somewhere, so I can just immediately start downloading it.
I don't think it's gonna be and it's available now.
Why are you so mean?
Because they're gonna do a retail release of this thing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think they'll release them all three?
I'm not saying that it's like
Oh, you're
free.
right. The retail release.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Then retailers would have already leaked it and uploaded it to
Yep.
servers somewhere. And, right? Retailers, that's what you're doing now.
Okay, I won't bring my Switch to the Game Awards.
I probably still
Bring
will.
it because they'll be like Box Boy 4.
Yeah, you think that's
Is that
worth?
what we're, yeah.
Yeah, that'll move the needle.
Yes.
Speaking of Box Boy,
I love a good box boy.
that's not the game that I've been playing this week, but we have been playing a lot of games this week. And we're going to kick it off with a little game that we've oft mentioned on this show, and that game is called...
It's not a game.
No, that's a different game. We play that later. This game, it's the first game. I just want you to say it because I always have such a hard time.
Gris.
Oh, is it
Gris?
Gris.
Well, okay, previously on this show, Per has,
Previously on NVC.
Per has announced it with a French flourish.
I thought it was French Gris. The color gray, which figures heavily in that game.
Yes.
But it's a Spanish game, right? So it's not French. It's Gris.
So to backtrack real quick, when we first started talking about this game, we did that dumb bully thing where we all just laughed about the name of it and we were like, oh, funny game, and then we moved on. We're all playing it now, and it is one of my favorite games this year that just kind of snuck in under the radar in December, and it's easily one of my favorite indie games I've played on Switch, period.
Yep.
It's probably got some of the best art direction of any video game I've ever played. It's just completely stunning. It's incredibly watercolory. Everything looks hand-drawn.
Yeah.
It's got this beautiful canvas filter to it, and it's effectively... I would say a puzzle platformer.
It's a little bit like an Inside, just not as dark and serious as Inside, but
and
like that sort of puzzle setup.
it's got some
right?
notes, some flavors of some Journey. I would say a little bit hints.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Little
a
leather
smattering. Yeah.
Bits of
Essentially what we're
tangerine and
talking about-
charcoal.
Essentially, what we're talking about here is a physics-based puzzle platformer, right? Like this is a very I won't say simple because some of the puzzles, some of the things that you need to do to make your way up to higher levels and obtain some of the more hidden things are particularly tricky.
Yeah.
And you're restoring color to this black and white world, which adds this dynamic that is just striking and
So pretty.
Yeah, and
It's
I
like
was talking to
the color washes.
yeah,
over
I was
it.
talking to Brian about it this morning, and I probably played maybe about 90 minutes of it last night before I had to go elsewhere. But it's a striking, emotionally moving game just in what little it does narratively from the outset. You don't really know who you're playing as, what the goal is, like why you're going on this journey. But B, it makes you think really quickly right off the bat. Like you really have to like start noodling this stuff out right away. And I was super impressed with the time that I've spent.
It's a very bleak world that becomes more and more beautiful as you play, and I really appreciate that. And the mechanics are simple. I don't think it pushes back too much, but it also isn't like stupid. Like the puzzles are just smart enough that you feel accomplished when you get through them. The music feels like something that would like play behind a Tom York solo album. Like it's really, really good. Yeah. And I was thinking about why I love this game so much, and I think it's because it mostly doesn't look like a video game. And video games always look like video games, and that's because people who make video games love video games, and they're only using so many engines. But this looks like something that like was made by a bunch of people that love going to art museums. And I know that sounds kind of snooty, but it's a really special, really beautiful game. I really urge you guys to check it out. It's only on Switch and PC. Yeah. So you have a great opportunity to play it if you have a Switch.
And it's not an old Steam port, right? It's a brand new game.
Brand new game.
Like visually, I'm getting a little Monument Valley, little very artistic flavor, but like it is not a fussy game, right? It's a very straightforward kind of puzzle game in a way.
And you don't have like lives or anything like that. There isn't really a lot of pushback. It's just a really cool thing to get through. Yep. Whoever's playing right now is having a tough
just
fall.
having a rough time.
So what? This is out on the 13th of December. It's $16.99.
That's correct.
Yeah, totally worth it. Please check that out.
It's easily made its way in my top 10. I can't wait to play more of it and finish it. Speaking of the simplicity, I have only gotten you get power ups and stuff as you go. I think I've only obtained one right now.
Did you get the machine gun?
No,
There's no machine gun.
But I will say that it's the kind of game, like in a similar vein as Journey, that I feel like this is the kind of game that I would show a non-gamer and be like, play this to have an idea of like what video games can really do in terms of like art direction and emotional like beats, things like that.
Yeah. One last thing I want to add: play this on a big TV if you can, because I think it does really wonderful things with sense of scale, where it starts on something that feels like a very intimate setting and then pulls out, and you're in this massive tower. And it does that really well, which I'm sure translates well to handheld mode as well. But play it on a big screen if you can.
It's my dog's favorite game.
You play this?
So I played a demo a while back. I haven't had a chance to dive into the full thing yet, but rest assured, this is a very
It's a Marxian game.
Yeah.
It's a very Marxian game.
Yeah, it is totally my jam, and everything I've played of it so far totally echoes along with you guys. One of the things I really do appreciate about it is a lot of the time when you get platformers that are super artsy like this, the platforming is sort of mediocre. Yeah. And I don't think that's the case here.
Nope. It feels really good.
Yeah, it feels good to jump in this game about jumping, which is a good thing
and
to
to
have.
smash things with the block that they show.
Okay, moving on. Who amongst us is playing this War of Mine Complete Edition?
Me.
Brian.
Has anyone else had any experience with this game
I
or
played
franchise?
it
Okay, cool.
way back when.
Yeah.
Haven't had an opportunity to play it. We previously gave this game an 8.4.
Yep.
Now it's come to Switch. It's out now. It is $40, and I want you to tell me about it.
Yeah, so this game is really beautiful in a very, very different kind of way. A very sort of painterly, kind of bleak as hell survival game that effectively doesn't really show you so much of the apocalypse on the outside and is more about the stuff that happens indoors in these kind of shelters. I would say it's part side-scrolling The Last of Us and part Fallout Shelter. It's about inventory management. It's about human relationship management. There's a lot of stuff here that's like very dark and grim. Like you'll be sort of tasked with finding medicine or building like a cooking stove to save your daughter who's dying. So it's not like the feel-good game you want to play on a Saturday afternoon, but it's definitely something that will command your attention.
I'd even go as far as to say as if you want to be real sad a little bit while you play a video game.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's the war game we need.
No, that just popped up. But no, it is bleak is the right word for it. It makes you do make very, very tough, terrible choices sometimes.
And so this is the complete edition. It effectively packages all of the DLC that's ever existed for this game, plus any future content that they want to roll in, and puts it under one roof, which is crumbling and dilapidated.
And it looks as nice as the original version. Like the Switch port looks good.
Yeah, it looks great. Runs well in handheld mode. Yeah, I really like this game, and I'm not really like the biggest like Fallout Shelter fan, but there's something about this game that keeps grabbing me because I think it's just like really stark and really beautiful, and also it constantly sort of nudges you to keep exploring and looking for more and more cool stuff, and rewards you for being patient and taking care of the people in your world. So check this one out.
All right.
Speaking of interesting art direction, coming up next, we've got a game that Pear teased last week, was very interested in, and that is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. Now, when I said Monster Boy to Tom said, I played that and I didn't like it, but he was talking about Wonder Boy, which is a different game. However, they are tied together, and that is...
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's an homage.
This is an homage, but didn't one of the Wonder Boy
the Wonder Boy
boys
creator
work on the Monster Boy game?
Kinda. He's the consultant.
Okay.
So he was involved, and it's a spiritual successor, if you will.
And Wonder Boy was on Switch.
Yes.
Near the launch, and it's the one that allowed you to switch between modern graphics.
The remake.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so it's a classic game. So Monster Boy is very similar.
Okay.
Obviously a little bit more, upgraded in the visual department. There's no throwback mode in this one. But like kind of like a classic platformer. If you had the power of today's consoles, kind of like taking a Rayman, more painterly approach to a platformer, but then going back to the Super NES days of platforming where, you backtrack to find a secret or you get a new power-up to let you do new things. And in this case, the power-ups are either tied to items, like shoes that let you sink underwater and walk underwater, like in The Legend of Zelda, or, different characters that you can take on, like
Right. So
frog.
each of the characters has different innate abilities. As the boy, you have a good sword, but as the pig, you can use your heightened sense of smell to find secrets and arrows that'll point you how to get around the world. Right.
You sniff out some poots.
And those are the only two characters that I've had an opportunity to play so far. But I feel like this is like sort of a weird side-scrolling Legend of Zelda
Why is it
inspired.
weird?
You're not crazy about it, right? Because I really
don't
like.
love
I like it too.
I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Like,
Can we all agree that the like Japanese animated 1980s intro in this game
The
is
intro
incredible?
is amazing.
Like
the
that's one of
animation looks great.
Yeah, they threw in like basically an 80s cartoon
Yeah.
animation at the beginning.
but I don't particularly care for the art style. Like, I think that, and this is not to mock mobile games, but it looks to me like a mobile game from like 2007. Like that sort of like the way that the enemy designs are, and like it just looks a
Very
little
sharp and papery.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it looks a little not archaic, but like a little out of place.
No, I can
on the
see
Switch
that.
these days. I did enjoy the first couple of boss battles that I faced off against. I thought they were very cool. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to continue playing it. I don't want to hang it up just yet because even looking at a trailer like this today, I see a lot of abilities and gear that I haven't had an opportunity to experiment with, which means that it'll probably open up a lot more moving forward.
I like this game a lot. I think my biggest issues with it are pacing. When you're just playing as like the pig for a while, it's not
boring.
very fun. Yeah, it's boring. But then you start getting more and more characters and it gets more fun. There's also arbitrary spikes in difficulty that really push back and then kick you back to a checkpoint that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that even that first squid boss that you fight was like I got taken out in the first boss and I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
So
there's a section a little past that I died on like 16 times in a row. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I pushed through it. But I actually really like it. I think I'm gonna finish it. I don't know if I'll go and get all the collectibles, but there's a lot to do here if you're into it.
Yeah, I'm digging it. It's pricey. I mean, it's $40, right? So it's almost the price of like a full new Mario retail game or something like that. But there's as the trailer says, there's 15 hours of gameplay in there estimated for the quest. Yeah, I think I'll finish it too. I'm enjoying it so far. I like the mechanics. It feels good. The platforming is precise, and some of the abilities are really cool. It's got that kind of Castlevania whip swinging stuff with the frog's tongue in it, and
now
I'm digging it.
You told me earlier today you'd give it about a 7.5.
Yeah, right now
It's sitting at about.
It's a good game.
It's sitting at about an 8.8 on Metacritic.
Yeah,
and
really
according to the notes here, Zach says 10 out of 10. Did you put that on there?
Yeah,
You
I
trolling me?
did put that.
Pear loves to
Really
troll me.
spiking that Metacritic, Zach.
Pear loves to troll me in the notes. Pear, you wanted to talk about a couple of race car games.
Yeah.
Tell us about Gear Club Unlimited 2 and Horizon Chase Turbo. Please.
Yeah, I mean it's no secret that the racing game lineup for the Switch has been a bit anemic, and that's something that happened on Nintendo's previous consoles too, where at one point we had like Boss Game Studios making Pro Race Driver, we had we had Kemco making the Top Gear games, all of that stuff, and as F-Zero went away and we only got Mario Kart, we didn't really see that many racers on Nintendo consoles. So
it was weird to see a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo handheld launch without like a sizable library of racing games, which is par for the course.
Now, one reason why we're not seeing a lot of the Sims on this machine is they probably didn't sell very well in the past on Nintendo consoles, and then the console does not have analog triggers for shoulder buttons, so you don't get that gas pedal feel. And so playing Gear Club Unlimited 2, which is a sequel to a game that was a mobile game ported to the Switch, competent racing game. This is it's an upgrade to the original, but it's very, very similar in look and feel.
Yeah, I've been playing this too. I like it a lot. I think it's one of the prettier games on Switch for sure.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it like reaches Forza levels of.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't, and I mean graphics wise for sure. Obviously, there's no like 4K HDR going on here. But from what I played, I played probably about 5 or 6 races so far, and progressing through the campaign, I'm only at like 1 or 2%.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there to do. Customizing your cars is cool. You can build out your garage and all that kind of stuff. But it falls more on the side of simulation racing than it does arcade racing. And so you have to keep that in mind, because I've always been more of like an arcade racer guy, but there's enough here that I like. How do you feel about just actually driving and power turns and whatever they call them?
Full disclosure, I'm a big gearhead when it comes to racing games. I play a ton of Forza. I love the Gran Turismo series in the past. But Horizon, the full Forza series, this definitely models itself after Forza, complete with a rewind system. Right, when you crash, you can rewind yourself.
It's very helpful for me.
The physics and it has by default it has a bunch of assists turned on, which you should turn off because the game is actually not that hard to control.
I disagree.
I feel like
I put them all on, and I'm a good boy racer now.
All right, I feel like the physics model is not very good. Like when you're steering, it's almost like you can play this game as well with a D-pad as with a stick, which is an issue. Like it kind of feels a little weird, the steering. That said, this is not a newbie developer. Eden Games, it's a rebooted company. It used to be Eden Studios way back in the days. They made Test Drive, they made V-Rally. So these guys love racing games, and you can see that love for cars in here because the models are gorgeous. It has this whole shop mode. You can upgrade your cars. It's got some really nice tracks in it. So I would say it's a good game. It doesn't quite live up to the grandness of these games that cost $100 million plus to make.
Yeah,
it's a smaller game, but it commands the same price tag. It's $60.
That's true.
It's out now.
Yeah, I mean, I think
right
if you're on Switch and you want a Forza style game, this is the best probably that you'll ever get.
So I would say it's pretty good. I'm having fun with it. I'm going to keep on playing it, but don't expect that kind of that high level of gloss that you would get from the biggest racers, or even some of the games from like Ubisoft that weren't quite as good.
What about the other racing game on Switch?
Yeah, how about that other one?
So there's one racing game that I like a lot more. That's Horizon Chase Turbo, and I mentioned Top Gear already. This is basically an homage to Top Gear, down to the music. Like when you start playing it, if you play Top Gear back on the Super NES, it sounds like it. It is less of a racing game, more of kind of like an arcade like action game where you don't really have to slow down for the curves. You just have to press left and right at the right time.
I think that like this basically, if you ask the question on Switch, like how do you make a game look as realistic as Forza? These guys were like, you make it hyper stylized. This is a game that started out, I believe, as a mobile game and then got ported to is now getting ported to other consoles and iPad and stuff like that. But this is the complete version. It's got a whole bunch of new modes and stuff like that. It's also, what is it? It's a third of the price of Gear Club.
And it runs at 60, and it's honestly, I mean, my son walked by and goes, "Oh, this is gonna make me hurl just watching."
Really?
It's like super fast, like like that F-Zero speed, and it gets very, very crazy.
It's definitely a nod to like late 80s, early 90s, like almost Sega arcade games, like stuff like Outrun as well. Even the way the car flips over, the way the horizon line dips.
Cruising USA, that kind of style.
Yeah. This is no pun intended. Way more my speed is in terms of being like a goofy arcade racing game. But it also gets pretty tough.
I think it just matches the Switch more. anymore. You know, like with Gear Club, you have the racing lines, and they don't function that well, but it tells you when to slow down for curves and all that, but you kind of feel that you miss that nuanced control over throttle and brake, and this game doesn't need that. It's on or off. You either go full speed or you don't go at all because you crashed, and then you have your like turbo boost, and you kind of got to manage how often you use it, just like in a game like F-Zero. This is so much fun. I'm really digging this game.
And there's split screen multiplayer in that too, or
I believe so.
That's cool.
I haven't tried that, but yeah.
Horizon Chase Turbo, $20 out now with the Per Schneider seal
I like
of
it.
approval. Now, gentlemen, it's time for frickin' Smash, my dudes. Tom, you've reviewed the Smash Brothers Ultimate game.
I have.
You've given it a 9.4.
That is a number.
Which on the IGN scale means amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Two thumbs way up for Smash, according to Tom. Tom,
So this is not as good as Celeste.
why so good? Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Tom,
Well, Celeste wasn't in it, so.
Why so good?
What
What do you like about Smash?
A lot of things, man. It's just such a like pure, great party game that has the beating heart of a really complex fighting game within it. And I think that is what is so impressive about Smash and why I've loved Smash from the very first one. Because Nintendo never intended the Smash Bros. Series to be this hyper-competitive thing at EVO and all this stuff, but they've sort of finally come to terms with the fact that it is. And it feels like this game in particular sort of embraces both sides of the coin in a way that they never really have, and then just decided, let's put everything in it. And they just threw as much stuff as they could. Every fighter from the series, there's 108 levels. All of those levels, except for the Final Destination and Battlefield ones, have Omega versions, which means they're Final Destination version, and then Battlefield versions. So there's really like closer to 300 plus levels if you want to count it that way. There's the spirits, you know, those little stickery guys, the replacement for trophies. The spirits there are 1,300 spirits to collect.
What?
Like, I think it's actually like $12.97, but like, yeah, there's an insane amount. And most of those, not all of them, because some of them are just for show, but most of those have an associated battle with it that is like a custom battle to try to emulate that spirit.
Right.
So, for example, the Snorlax spirit is a giant gray King K. Rool that can't move and doesn't do anything, and you just have to kill him in 2 minutes. Like, you have to destroy him before he can, before time's up.
Yeah, I like these sort of estimated challenges or like replacement challenges where they charge you with capturing a spirit, but they pick the closest characters to them, right? Like, so the one that that sticks out to me, and I think I mentioned this on the show before, but the one that I always think about is you can unlock Hal Emmerich from the Metal Gear Solid series, and the fight to unlock him is Dr. Mario and Rob the Robot, which I think is like really great.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Can I say my favorite one?
Yeah, of course.
My favorite spirit I found in the entire game so far, and there are probably 500 to 600 I have not seen, and that's having spent 24 full hours in World of Light, which is the adventure mode.
With 24 full hours.
It took me to beat it, yeah. And I had 84% completion.
Good gravy.
Yeah, it's an insanely long adventure mode, but we can get to that. My favorite spirit in the entire game was Ness's dad.
Oh, yes.
And Ness's dad, like from
you
like
remember?
Ness from
Yeah, because
Earthbound.
you just call him. Like, you never see him,
you never
right?
see him in the game.
It's a
so
phone.
the spirit picture is a phone. And the fight itself is you're fighting a Ness and an invisible Solid Snake.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's an absentee dad.
Yeah, so you have
He's
to,
invisible.
You have to kill the Solid Snake because he's an invisible dad.
So smart.
It's so funny, and that one is.
It feels
really
like
hard.
rules that like a little kid would make up.
Yeah,
I mean that in the best way possible.
But there's so many, and we're not gonna. We don't want to spoil any more.
We're gonna
but
go over
they're
every single one.
They're
So
so
are they-
clever. It's almost like these characters are cosplaying as like other characters.
Are they
feels like
basically like collectible stickers or like cards? Like what are they?
They're-
What form do they take?
The
Are they
vast majority of them are usable. They're equipable. So
Okay.
there's either primary spirits, and you equip a primary spirit, and then the primary spirit has up to 3 slots for. Hey, there's the Snorlax fight. The primary spirit has up to 3 slots for. Support spirits, which will
Right.
just like add a little ability to you, and the
But
primary spirit also gives you stats.
Is there's that sort of like museum element to it where you can go in and read about them and like find history on them? Because that's one of the things I really liked about the trophies in Smash Bros.
Yeah, not nearly as much of that, but there is a gallery where you can flip through them.
Oh,
and
cool.
all of the art is, as far as I can tell, from source material.
Oh, cool.
So the art is really, really cool, and they have an absurd amount of these. You know, Snake is only in one Metal Gear character in the game, but there are at least a dozen Metal Gear themed spirits that you can collect.
They let
from
Bowser on
all
an
of the
airplane?
series.
Yeah.
And then the powers, they'll buff you. For example, there's one that helps you buoyancy, right? And like you have to fight on a water level where you instantly sink and die in the water.
Unless you have the buoyancy
Then
guy.
you equip the buoyancy to help yourself. So it's like a countermeasure.
And there's a lot of that in World of Light and when you're fighting other spirits. So, you know, some spirits will be the floor is electric or the floor is poison or the floor puts you to sleep. And then you got to find spirits that are immunity to sleep
Counter
or
to
immunity
that,
to poison. The World of Light gets a little thin. And in that sense, you know, a lot of the time you'll get a spirit that is immunity to poison floors, and then immediately the next fight is, oh, this is a poison floor level. So it's a little bit
On the
gimme that
nose,
way.
yeah.
It's a little on the nose, but seeing what the characters were translated into fights never stopped being amusing. Sure.
Yeah.
That part of it was always, it was novel. It was a novelty,
little
but it
joke.
was so cool.
Yeah,
It's an inside joke in a lot
Yeah.
of ways where you go like, oh, that's what they're doing.
And they have such obscure characters in this game, too. It's insane.
So, Tom, you've detailed the myriad of things that are within this game. This is definitely the biggest Smash to date.
I think so.
100% the biggest Smash. Is it the best Smash?
I think that's a personal question. For me,
Didn't mean to offend.
Whoa.
so like, for example, I like I was talking about, everyone kind of wants something different from Smash, and Smash tries to deliver on to all of those people. If you're talking the competitive community, Brawl was significantly worse than Melee.
Yeah.
But I thought Brawl was way better than Melee just because of how much more it offered in Subspace Emissary. Or maybe not better, but I should say I enjoyed Brawl a lot more than Melee just because of how much more there was in the game. And because I wasn't at EVO fighting in tournaments, right? That's not what I wanted from Smash at that time. I think that this is undoubtedly the best one, at least since Melee. And probably there will be people out there who think that Melee is still a better game, and that's more power to them because that game is, there's no Smash Bros. Game, including this one, that is as fast and as sharp as Melee is. Melee really had that core of a fighting game clearer than any other one. But they have done more in Ultimate to make it faster and punchier and a little bit like more hard-hitting than the Wii U version. And that makes us have this really, really amazing balance where it still feels very accessible and it still feels very cool, but also, at its core, it is a better fighting game too. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, the most hardcore Smash Brothers fans will determine whether this one sticks like Melee did. I mean, part of me thinks that nothing ever will because they've locked into their rhythm, and then that's
the feel
it.
they like.
Yeah,
so unless
exactly.
it feels exactly the same.
But this one is giving the best shot any has yet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm like really torn on this franchise in general because I have tremendously positive, happy memories about Melee because at the time in my life, I was younger and I had friends coming over and we were drinking beer all the time. And like now I'm an old man with a wife and a kid that can't play video games. And like I don't have a group of people to play Smash Brothers with in my apartment all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I could invite them over. It'd just be weird.
If only you worked somewhere where hundreds of people wanted to play Smash all the time.
I'm speaking on behalf of the massive audience out there that does not work in the IGN editorial.
I
bit.
understand.
And I want to know, like, what does this game service to someone like me outside of the 24-hour long World of Light?
I got an answer for you. Like when I grabbed the game from Tom to play with it, the first thing I did was go into the jukebox. It's like it's just like for someone who doesn't have friends over to play, it's just such a great museum, such a great nostalgia trip.
Yeah.
Just all the stuff that's in there. It's just enjoyable seeing the stages, seeing the characters, and then like the music is insane.
You and I were tweeting about that recently, about how like that's actually, I love Smash Brothers as being a celebration of all things Nintendo. And even if the core gameplay as like a multiplayer brawler is not really something that I have space for anymore, I'm there because of all the other encyclopedic stuff and all the character stuff and all of the cool items and everything like that.
And in that way, World of Light delivers.
Okay.
So
let's get into the adventure mode a little bit. I think the question that most people want to know is how analogous is World of Light to Subspace Emissary, and does it compare? Is it better? Is it worse? Like, what do you think? Because like Subspace Emissary is such a near and dear like single player adventure mode to a lot of Smash fans that I think this World of Light reveal that we're watching right now was a little bit of a question mark to folks.
Yeah, and I will say also for the person alone in your house, there is online play. It was
His name
not,
is me.
the online play was not live when we had the game before launch, so it just went live as of the posting of this today. So we'll have to see, or I guess the game comes out on Friday, excuse me. So it'll be live on Friday, and we'll have to see how that goes. World of Light, though, it's tricky, man. Like, it's interesting because Sakurai even said when they announced it, this is a gameplay-focused mode. This is not a story-heavy. And it's really true. There's something called the Spirit Board in Ultimate where
It's actually a Ouija board. You can get those anywhere.
Ghost Wall.
Yeah.
where it's just a bunch of random spirits. It's like between 6 and 10, depending on how many slots you've opened up. And they just cycle in and out, and you just do spirit fights, and that's it.
Yep.
World of Light is honestly not much different from that. It's just a series of spirit fights over and over and over and over and over. But these spirit fights are distributed in very interesting and thematic ways on a huge world map board. So that's kind of what it is all you're doing is just a series of fights, and you do more fights, and you level up your spirits, and you get stronger, and then you can do better fights.
And then they boss battles, obviously.
And then that's
some
the
non-playables,
that's the trick.
right?
There are boss battles.
Mr. Hand.
But the boss battles are all available in classic mode too, as far as I know.
I see.
So
They're just
did
distributed through that.
Did this take you 24 hours because it's hard, or because it just keeps going, or both?
The second one. It
Yes.
just keeps going.
Got it.
It got really repetitive and old to me eventually.
Okay.
Like I said, seeing the new spirits, seeing those new fights never stop being novel, and the world design and the theme of the maps is so cool. But at a certain point, about 10 or so hours into the game, I had a maxed out team of spirits. I had a spirit that gives you super armor, which means that you move really slow, but you don't get flinched from hits, and you don't ever basically get knocked away until you have like 100+% damage, which makes the game absurdly easy because every fight you just don't care what they're doing to you, charge a smash attack and knock them away, and you win. And basically, and I didn't use that the whole time, but basically about 10 hours in, my strategy didn't change for the next 14. And it was still amusing to see stuff, but you hit a point in this game where all you're doing is collecting spirits, and all you're doing is leveling those spirits up. And at a certain point, you hit a spot where you don't need to level them up anymore, and you don't need to collect anymore. So what you're really doing is just doing these fights that are easy forever. And it's a shame that it becomes such a slog because the boss fights, and especially those dungeon areas that we were talking about, are so cool. And especially the end of World of Light. If you're a Smash Bros. Fan, I cannot stress this enough. You need to finish the game. You need to finish the adventure mode because the end of World of Light made the grind worth it for me.
Interesting.
But it was still a grind.
Yeah.
You were saying even if like you're not even the biggest Smash Bros. Fan, but you're just a huge Nintendo fan in general.
Yeah.
It's worth
What do you fight Shigeru Miyamoto at the end of the game?
Yes.
Ooh, spoilers! You heard it here first.
Somebody
and
should
we're not
finally teach that guy a lesson.
And I'm not going to spoil anything with the end. I just want to say, like, it is. If you're getting about, like, if you're 20 hours into this and you're like, I don't want to keep going, just try to push through because it's really,
Just
really
hire
worth it.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but see,
unlock
I felt the same way about Subspace Emissary, though. I really enjoy these games playing against friends, but the single player modes kind of start to lose me after a while.
Yeah.
And Subspace was only like 7 to 10 hours long, and this took Mitchell Saltzman, who was going for a little bit more completion than I did. Like I said, I had like 84%. He had almost 100, and it took him like 35+ hours to do that.
And for 100%, can you go back to spots that you didn't like fill out? And
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the type of thing where when you win the game, you can just kind of keep going exploring.
That makes sense. Like,
That actually sounds really awesome.
It's cool.
It's a lot, but
And I also admit that I imagine it's different when you don't have to beat it in a weekend like I did, right? Like I played this straight. If you're playing World of Light in more bite-sized chunks over a month or so, it's probably a much more enjoyable way to do it. But it's still just, at a certain point, you hit progression that just stops, and that's a bummer.
Yeah, I will say, you know, I've historically many times said on this show that I'm not the world's biggest Smash fan, that I'm a casual Smash fan. I like to jump in and play when, you know, we're playing here in the office, something like that. the idea that the story mode, the adventure mode alone is 24, 25 hours in an era of Red Dead and Assassin's Creed and all these, 80 plus hour games is like, even our fighting game has to have a story mode. Like, damn, man, like cut me some slack. But equally, my hype level has been rising for this game.
You
like
just
the
did
more,
it for me.
the more I hear about it, the more I see it, the closer that it gets to the release date, the more I'm getting invested into the idea of like, hell, maybe I'll try to get actually good at this Smash and contend with some of my coworkers because I'm tired of getting obliterated every time. But
World of Light made me worse at Smash Bros. Because I had that super armor and there's a skill tree in it. So I had super armor. I could hold smash attacks charged forever. They charged quicker. They healed me. They poisoned an enemy. And every time I got a final smash, I got 2 final smashes.
So you can't.
I was just crazy overpowered.
Yeah.
So you can't take the spirit equipables into multiplayer battles? Oh, okay.
It's just
I was gonna say
you
that
can't
just
do
seems
you can't do the skill tree at all in multiplayer.
Got it.
You can take spirits in, but it's 100% optional. You totally don't need to do it.
And also, like, why would I want to fight you with all that?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, unless like I'm the best Smash Brothers player in the
But
world.
you and me could both
I'm
do
not.
it, right? We could both be like, all right, I'm going to take Gino and you can take whatever you want, Spirit. And Gino, by the way, is very intentionally overpowered. He's like one of the best spirits you'll
great.
get. And I'm almost positive it was because they were like, all right, you get
That's an
Gino in
apology.
some form.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, does that sort of scratch the itch of all of the characters that people are asking for that they're not getting? Like,
No, I think I think the spirit fights scratch that itch a little bit, but not really. Like Gino's spirit fight is you're fighting basically the whole cast of Super Mario RPG. Like there's a white Kirby as Mallow and stuff like that.
that's
So
great.
it's really cute, right? But
it sounds like being a kid and playing with action figures and not having everything and being like, this guy from G.I. Joe is
I mean,
Shredder
is that
from Ninja
not
Turtles.
not the premise when you boil it down to it? Like Smash is about a kid playing with his action figures and just
absolutely.
mashing them all together.
Or a man, a real big adult man with his toys. Just
It's pair.
doing-
the other thing I was
Follows
going to say,
Amiibo.
the other thing I'd say on the Subspace Emissary comparison is the cutscene that they used to announce the game is at the beginning of World of Light.
Okay.
And then there's like one cutscene in the middle and one cutscene at the end, and that's it.
So
And
we
so
don't get to see a bunch of those little vignettes that we've come to know and love.
None of those are in World
That's
of
too
Light.
bad. I was hoping to see a lot more of those. I love
Whenever
the
you
idea.
unlock one.
Yeah,
to-
Mario and Samus and
Yeah.
Mega Man teaming
I love
up
a
and
good
like
short film.
Yeah, I love. I'm just a real film school boy.
It feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity based on how good those animations were, but none of them are in it.
Yeah, we had
Counterpoint, they're probably very expensive.
we had a question that I actually didn't put in the question block, but now I wish I had, and I apologize if you were out there asking it, but they said with these cutscenes being so dramatic and so beloved by the fan base, like why doesn't Nintendo take a shot at directing the Mario movie? Why go to a third party? And I think it's probably prohibitively expensive, and I think that Nintendo is maybe better at telling these little vignettes than they are at like telling like a full-fledged
Right.
Smash Brothers story or something like that.
Right.
My brother works for an animation studio.
Your
and,
uncle
like,
works at Nintendo.
No. I'll just say, you would be shocked how expensive 10
yeah.
seconds of animation
yeah.
is. It is mind-bogglingly expensive to animate just a 2-minute cutscene.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. I did want to ask one last. Did you?
No, I want to hear more about characters, but what like playing this much of this game, what's your main character now?
Bowser.
Bowser?
So my main character for every
Shocking.
Smash Bros.
Yeah.
ever. My main character for every Smash Bros. Ever has been Kirby.
Yeah.
I love Kirby. I always use DDD and Meta Knight. I used Sonic for a little while, but I don't anymore. Bowser in this game, they made him go from kind of crouched over Bowser to more upright Odyssey Bowser. And his moveset's a little different. He's a little faster, and I just fell in love with him. Also, his side A is just a drop kick.
Oh, that rules.
And it is so fun to drop kick people as Bowser.
How's the stuff that's been integrated since like the Switch era, like the Breath of the Wild stuff, the Cappy stuff from Mario? Like,
Yeah, it's interesting. Cappy kind of hasn't. He's one of Mario's taunts. You kind of throw out the cap and take it back. Link is now his Breath of the Wild outfit, and his bombs, instead of just being a bomb, is a remote bomb. So you throw it out and you have to press again to blow it up.
oh, cool. Does his sword break?
I don't
All the
think
time.
so.
No, you just have to put it away every 10 minutes.
I'm
Use
not
the
sure if
stick.
this was in old Smash Bros, but when he's at full health, if you slash, it does a little beam attack.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
It's a rat.
I'm trying to think. Zelda isn't Twilight Princess Zelda anymore. She's actually
Link Between Worlds
Zelda, which is a nice little touch.
Zelda's the boy, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
the
his
one that can't crawl.
It's his legend.
And then all of
We're just living in it.
All of the I can't remember their names now. All of the spirit people from Breath of the Wild.
Oh, the champions.
Yeah, the champions.
Yes.
Thank you. All of them are spirits
Daruk,
in
etc.
Daruk, and all those guys. They're
Sandstorm.
all yeah, pretty much. They're all
Cobra.
spirits and cool little fights.
Rivaldi.
Yeah, Rivaldi. That's
Camel Man.
Yeah, and you were going to ask what, like, out of the new characters, right?
I did want to ask about which of the new additions is your favorite character. Just sort of rapid fire here.
and which in Belmont definitely.
Yeah.
Which of the 43 Fire Emblem characters is your favorite?
So we have a feature that is Mitchell, who is sort of intrinsically tied to the Smash Brothers review in a bunch of different facets. He's working on a bunch of features. He's written a best characters for beginners, and I was kind of surprised to see Simon Belmont make that list.
Oh, really?
Because he looks like a more advanced character, but Mitchell says he's very fun to control.
I keep having moments where I forget about the rollout to this game and that, Simon Belmont's on this game.
So
You know,
all
like-
the music is so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, it has all the great Castlevania.
The Castlevania editions in general,
last-
top notch.
The last question that I wanted to ask you, so the Switch's install base is much, much higher than it's been in previous Nintendo generations. A lot of new people are going to be coming to Smash. Do you think that all these new additions, all these multiple characters and variations and all the stages, do you think it's too much? Do you think it's like too overwhelming, too hard to get into for a new Smash player?
Parts of it are and parts of it aren't. So, for example, there are 74 total unlock characters that you can have. You only start with 8 of them.
Okay.
You start with the original 8 from the N64. And
that rules.
You unlock them fairly quickly. Like if you're just playing multiplayer, it's probably every 3-4 matches you're going to unlock another character. But because there are 63 unlocks, it takes you forever to do that.
Right. I remember back on the GameCube doing stuff like setting up a 2-player match that are both player controlled or whatever.
Yeah.
And then putting the controllers down and like waiting a day to get
Yeah.
Mew. Like and then walking off a ledge 150 times in a row to get like somebody else. A lot of weird. So is there weird parameters like that?
Brendan Graber has been trying to decode that stuff, and for the most part, we're feeling like not really as many weird things. There's so much, and there's multiple ways to unlock them. You can unlock them through World of Light or Classic mode, but I don't think there's as crazy of little moments.
Right.
Okay.
And then the thing that is overwhelming 100% is the levels, because there's 108 levels on the level select screen, and they're all unlocked right away, and there's no way to sort them or make the icons bigger. And so if you've never played a Smash Bros. Game, you just have this grid of tiny images of things you don't know what
crazy.
they are. It's nuts.
I mean, I would suggest put them on random and just like see what happens.
Yeah.
And just hope you don't get the Pac-Man stage because it's the worst.
Pac-Land is terrible.
It always
Specifically
has and
call
always
it
will
out
be.
in my
Can you
review.
exclude it?
You can exclude it from random.
There you go.
Cool.
Which is always nice. But there's also really one of my favorite new features is called Stage Morph, where you can set how long into a match it changes from one level to another.
Whoa.
And it just morphs into another level.
Like the Pokemon stage?
Yeah.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah, and that's a really, really nice feature just to kind of experience more of that map pool. The other nice thing about it is if you're doing an 8-player match, which is still chaos, just absolutely illegible, but that's kind of the point. If you're doing an 8-player map, you can set it so that 3-ish minutes in, it goes from a large map to a small map. And you can just say, all right, we'll start on this big map that can handle 8 players, and then once a couple people have been knocked away,
Just
we'll go
like
smaller.
Fortnite.
What I do like about these games for newcomers is that they do school you on a lot of stuff that you probably didn't know about. I've been playing Let's Go Eevee recently, and the music kicked in and a bunch of areas, and I'm like, hey, it's that song from Smash Brothers. Because my exposure to Pokemon, it's like through Smash Brothers.
yeah.
So I think a lot of people are going to find out about a lot of like really classic franchises, and also Ice Climbers, which is not.
Which is not a classic franchise. Well, gentlemen, we're still going to continue to talk about Smash, but we're going to talk about it in the context of my favorite game. We call it the question block.
Yeah, that's not a
Hooray!
game, actually.
Still not a game. Brandon Pruitt writes in and asks, do you think Nintendo will do Smash DLC to coincide with new games, or do you think they will be hype, unexpected characters like Ryu, Bayonetta, and Cloud, etc. So do you think that we're going to see a standard, like, here's a new game, and this character's coming to Smash? Or do you think it's going to be outside, like, third-party characters? Like, is Ezio going to show up in Smash? Like, things like that, right?
Neither is my actual
Ooh.
opinion.
Explain.
I think we're not going to see as crazy characters as we did before. I don't think we're going to get Ezio or any of that stuff, but I also don't think they're going to tie him to games in any way. I think that they don't know. They know which characters are coming, but I don't think they know when they'll be done with them even, right? I think that's going to be a very big moving target for them.
They decided a long time ago what these DLC characters were going to be, I think, and that's why I agree. I don't think it'll be timed with anything.
We're supposed to get one probably every 2 to 3 months based on what they said, right? Because there's going to be 6 including Piranha Plant, and they have to come out by the end of February of 2020. So about 2 to 3 a month, and I think.
But I do feel like they also can't be like, I love Piranha Plant, but Piranha Plant is a very generic character, right?
Yeah.
Like it's I don't think I think they will be more notable than that.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to keep paying
this,
attention if it's like Piranha Plant, Koopa Troopa,
Yeah.
Turtle. Yeah, it's like, okay.
It's got to be some big name.
I mean, putting this in writing here, like Ryu, Bayonetta, and Cloud, that's an incredible lineup. Like that's 2 of the most iconic best-selling games of all time, and then also Bayonetta. So no, Bayonetta's fine, but that's like that doesn't really move the needle on NPD.
No, but Cloud is freaking humongous.
Oh, yeah.
It's like such a fan service.
That was a
character,
huge thing
right?
to see that happen. So I think we'll get characters like that. I don't know if they'll necessarily be
Third
that
party?
level or even third party, but who else do you go to first party? That Waluigi?
Oh boy.
That's the one, right?
Waluigi, I will say it again. Waluigi's not going to be in Smash. There's no way that
I'm not
my mind is
having this
changing on that
conversation
one.
anymore.
Spirit.
He's multiple spirits. He's also an assist trophy, but the spirits actually doesn't count because like Mario is also a spirit.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
Yeah. Anyway,
Brian Green asks, if you could have any non-video game character in Smash, who would it be?
Non-video game character. I didn't read this question before you asked it. Non-video.
We'll come
game
back to you,
character.
Brian.
Let me think about it.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah, give me
Great.
someone from Star Wars or Yoda.
Yoda would be good.
for some reason, when I read this question, the first thing that came in my mind was Bruce Willis from The Fifth Element.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great.
I just want Bruce Willis from
Sure.
Fifth Element.
But
first
that's
thing
his,
you think
but
of.
that's his name. It's not what's his name? Corbin Dallas.
Yeah,
It's
no.
Bruce Willis from Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Like that's his character. Or it's just Bruce Willis, and then he has a bunch of different like skins that you can play all of his different characters.
Oh, I love that.
Bruce Willis from Die Hard.
Actually, that's a better idea.
Yeah.
I'm changing my answer.
I got one.
Okay.
I just watched the Sergio Leone Man with No Name trilogy.
Okay,
so
that's a deep cut.
I want Clint Eastwood,
in there.
and his final smash is just nice.
That's a good one.
I'd like to see Steve Brule implemented into this. All right. Renato Araco asks, which IGN staff member should be a Smash character?
Tom. Recovery is a little bow tie flying away.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's great. How'd you do that so fast? Did you read the
Because I was
question
looking
earlier?
at Tom.
Okay.
I was like, who could I name? Oh, look, it's Tom.
It's Tom. There he
Yeah.
is.
Is that Tom? What is? Oh, yeah, it's Tom.
I would say Andrew Goldfarb,
Yep.
but he's just got the Pokemon trainers moveset, and then
know.
all the Pokemon just come out of his phone.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's nice.
Yeah. Do you guys have any? Who do you have anybody
I think
from
Pear's a
IGN?
good one. Get
Pear-
Pear in there.
Pear.
Yeah.
Too,
All right.
too generic.
What?
You'd have to have different color versions.
They're all the colors of the Joy-Con.
all the colors.
You just
Yeah.
bury other characters in your GM money.
Oh,
But it's rain.
make it rain.
That's a Wario move.
That's true.
I'd go Casey.
Casey DeFreitas.
Yeah, she can call out Monster Hunter monsters.
Yeah.
and also we played 1v1 in Smash, and she is crazy good.
Oh,
at
yeah,
that
she's
game.
super good.
She would be mad OP.
Yeah. Okay. Marcelo Spinetta asks, choose Metroid Prime 4 plus trilogy announcement or Bayonetta 3 making an appearance at
please, get
VGA.
out
Come on, what kind of
Metroid
question
Prime
is
4. What are you, crazy?
Yeah, same.
that? Yeah, especially
hell are
since
you
you
talking
bundle
about?
trilogy with 4, I think we're gonna have to pick that.
Yeah.
Nothing against Bayonetta.
And last question of the week, Dan Schiffmacher writes in and asks, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all?
What questions are you picking against?
I like to
really
pick a
tough
couple
one.
of goofy ones, and I like to pick
Yeah.
a couple of serious ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone should be loved at some point, and so I think that's better.
Yeah.
So I'm going to counter that and say I think everybody should experience a breakup at least once.
That
too.
too.
Yeah.
That too. That's
Yeah.
good. But I mean, never to be loved at all. It's not. That's not a good look.
That's bad.
Yeah, no, nobody wants all that. Tom, you want to weigh in on this loved and lost?
Not really.
Okay, good enough. Tom Marks, diplomatic as always. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for this week. We are Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN's Nintendo show, every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on IGN.com and every Friday at 3 p.m. on YouTube, which is a whole different platform. Pear, Tom, Brian, Horatio,
Zach.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Thank you for coming on talking about Smash. I'm glad that you have your life back now. Well, I'm sure there'll be
totally gonna keep on playing.
much Smash to be had. And thank you all for watching out there. Guys, have a great week. Come back next week when you can.
Get the thing.
Ryan?
Get the thing.
Tom?
Get the thing?
Get the thing.
Get the thing.
Just get it. Just get it.